And we started with perimeter. Okay. And I told you that always watch out, right, for the horizontal lines, like the pink lines. Like if you travel from here to here, and then once you're up on the staircase, traveling back is going to be the same distance, right? But what we could also do is find the missing sliver, like this missing piece here, just by using, right, the long side down here and subtracting the small pieces up there. And we got 5 meters for this. And we were missing this side, that's why it's in red. So we just added these 3 to get us that, right? And I show the work there. So the perimeter was just basically adding up all the sides all around it, and you got 170. Okay, but it's asking us to find the area and the perimeter. Okay, not just the perimeter. So we're going to do the area here. Area. Slice into basic shapes. Okay, that's what we're going to do here. So I'm going to grab a pen, a red pen here, and I'm going to go ahead and slice it. So you go here, we're going to call this 1. We slice this here, we're going to call this 2. And this little one here, we're going to call that 3. Okay? So we're essentially, if you want the area of this whole thing, okay, you need to slice it into 3 smaller areas. And then find the different areas. And we're talking rectangles for all of them. So for area 1, let me just focus once, 1 second, folks. There you go. For 1, look at the shape, and you want the length and the width of it. Okay, this is 15 wide, so we're going to go 35 times 15. Just park it there, don't calculate it just yet. Right? For the second rectangle here, what are the dimensions of it? You got to be careful here. Pay close attention. This is 30, so you want the 30. But what about this? From that end to this end, what is this? Well, we know that this is 10 and this is 5. So technically from here to here, it's 15. So for this rectangle, it's a 15 times 30 scenario. 15 times 30 to get the area of the rectangle. And for the last one, it's a 5 times 5. 5 times 5. Now let's calculate it using our calculator, right? So 35 times 15. This is 525. 15 times 30, that's 450. And 5 times 5, you can use mental math there. That's that. Total area is going to be 1 plus 2 plus 3, right? The areas of the 3 shapes that you've divided it in. So it's 525 plus 450 plus 25. So that's 1,000 square meters exactly. So this is our total area. This is our total perimeter. Okay. So this is a staircase example. Okay. One thing you need to remember is that for perimeter, you don't add the sides in there, right? It's always the outside. So there might be information inside of it. We don't use that for perimeter. So I'm going to leave that there for a bit so you can write it down. Make sure you copy this on loose leaf, okay? And if you missed the previous days, go back and look at the videos, okay? Some students say, well, it takes a long time going back 45 minutes worth of video, right? Well, you missed the class, right? And by the way, you can also probably watch it a little faster if you want to. You can skip through it. You can do various things to speed it up if you want to, right? If time is of essence, you can do it. Okay. So now we're going to do a horseshoe scenario. So go ahead and write this down. Okay. Copy that shape, and I'm going to make sure that you can clearly see what those dimensions are. So go ahead and write that down, copy it. You should have a decent amount of space around it, right? Because we're going to have to find the perimeter as well as the area. So you want to have a decent amount of space there. So in grade 10, we stick with two-dimensional. In grade 11, you're going to do this, but it's 3D, okay? You're going to talk about a three-dimensional, like the surface area of that surrounds, that makes up that shape, right? So it could be a pyramid, a cylinder, you name it. But the same principle applies, right? Heather.
I will send you want a computer to pick one.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to make one for you and solve for your teach math, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So all the math. Okay. You have all the math. What I have on here is f of x, math type.
Mm-hmm.
I have a smart notebook.
Did you download it yourself, the smart book?
No, I haven't pushed it down.
Okay. Push it down?
I think I don't know.
It might be installed with that because I don't think
He found it somewhere, like
yeah.
the division has it.
Okay, yeah, division has it.
But it was only a trial version, like a basic version, so there's always a watermark.
Oh,
I don't know if you can get rid of that. I think Spotify, I guess that I can just do right, but
Spotify?
Or listening to music. I don't know. I like it.
Yeah, okay.
But I can do it myself. I guess if you saw it, right?
It.
Yeah, so never mind. I won't put that down. It's cheesy. Other than that, Adobe Pro.
Yeah.
I use it a lot. Yeah, I have it here. I use it on both.
We use Pro XI.
Yeah, yeah. Is it XI?
I 11.
11. guess it would have office,
yeah,
right?
yeah, okay.
It have office.
Okay.
Other than that, I think I have a lot on my desktop, so I guess
This is nothing
I
about it.
have to clean that up, I guess.
Yeah.
Markup, I don't think I need it anymore because it's web-based now.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it might still push down, but it is a 2019 stuff.
yeah, that one is.
Yeah, it's a good one. So
I have this one.
yeah,
The FFX is here.
you downloaded yourself the icon?
I'm not sure if I did.
Because it usually is it's a web page and then there's a link only.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, just save all the file then.
Yeah, I will clean this up.
Maybe tomorrow. What time will be okay?
It's B, slot B is my prep, but you can take it any
before lunch.
today. It's
Is it before lunch? B is
tomorrow. It's gonna be first period. No, second period tomorrow.
yeah, like before lunch.
Yeah, just before lunch. Yeah.
After 10:20 or
10:20. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your cabin 3?
Cabin 3. Do you want this?
Yeah. Good.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
So you're taking this all. You're removing all of this. I'm assuming it doesn't have a tower anymore, right?
You want it? You have a place?
No,
I
no.
can keep it.
No. Too much.
You want 2 screen?
If you have, yeah.
No, I can live.
Oh, okay, yeah.
To put up a
Yes.
Because the table is quite big enough for.
Then I can always move stuff. Yes, I love that actually. Yeah, thank you. Okay. How about this one? I'm gonna have my highlighters ready to go. Perimeter first, that's what I prefer. Okay. So to get the perimeter, let's see if we need any information, right? So I'm gonna look at the bottom here and then look at the top, right? It's this stretch, this stretch, this stretch. And you have to think, right? Like you can't just think, oh, Mr. Dirkson's gonna cover every possible scenario. I can't do that, right? So anyways, so we can go ahead and figure out what we're missing. So if this is 100 from here to here, and we have 25 and 25, we can already just, this is mental math here, right? We know that this is gonna be 50 here, right? Because it has to add up to 100 yards, which is the from end to end. So 100 minus the 25 minus the 25 gives you 50. So if you want to write that down, you have that there. And then we're going to look at the sides here. This is vertical, vertical. Okay. So notice that this is going inside the shape, right? So we know that if this is 55 yards, we know this is 55 as well here. Right, it's the same length as that one just by looking at the diagram. So let's go ahead and find our perimeter. Start at a corner. You want to start right here and then travel, right? It's 100 plus, this is 75. I'm going to put down 75 here. Okay. So 75 plus 25 plus 55. If you have a faster way, go for it. Right? Plus 25 plus 75. So I'm just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to go over here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8 numbers being added. So that's perfect. If you want to do some mental math, you go for it, right? This is 100. And this is 100 here. Right? This would be 55, and 55 is a 110 plus 50 is 160. That makes it a lot easier now, right? So it's 100, 200, 300 plus 160. That's 460 yards. That's your perimeter. Okay. Done. Perimeter is done. Now we're going to find the area. And we know that area can't just be calculated as it is. So I'm going to cut it a certain way, okay? You can cut it into 3 pieces this way. So you've got 1, 2, and 3. You could also slice it this way. So you cut here and here, and then you have 1, 2, this long piece, and a third one here, which will be the same. These two will be the same. I'm going to cut it. You got to be careful. Sometimes you have to be careful how you cut it, but I'm going to cut it right here. Okay, so I'm going to call this 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so area will be finding the first one plus the second one plus the third one. By the way, 1 and 3 are exactly the same. Just notice, right? They're both 25 wide and they have the same height. So I'm going to go, the first one is going to be, what are the dimensions of it? This is 75 times 25, right? That's the area of this rectangle here. 75 times 25. We get that. Number 2, this one here you have to be careful. We found out that this is 50. And what is this? Do we know that? Well, we know that the whole thing is 75. We take away the 55 from it. So you're left with 20 here. Right? So that is essentially 50 times 20. And 3, you can do it, right? Like we can just say 75 times 25 as well. So that's 1875. This would be 1,000. And this would also be 1875. We add them all up, right? Plus, plus 16, 17, 15, 3750. 3750 plus 1,000, that's 4750. And what units are we in? We are in yards. So we just go square yards. Total area is that. And now you found the area of this horseshoe. Okay. So you gotta be creative. You gotta cut it and slice it into shapes that you recognize. So you want it into rectangles, into triangles, or circles. It's really up to you. So we did the perimeter and the area of this shape. Good. Next page. I gotta do these from scratch, okay? Example 3. This would be a trapezoid. You know what? Let me change this. That way, this is gonna be more relevant if I do it this way. So you kind of make a rectangle, and then the ends are gonna meet like this. So you have a triangle there if you see it, right? And we're gonna say that this is 17 meters from top to bottom. We know that this stretch here is 6 meters. And we know that the bottom here is 25 meters, like that. And labeling can vary greatly. It could happen that the 6 meters is already inside, but there it is. So we'll start with the perimeter. The perimeter would be just the distance around, okay? So let's start here. 25 plus, what's this? What's this gonna be? Do we know it? We don't know it. It's a triangle, right? So we do know the 6. So my diagram is not the best, okay, but I'm gonna come down and make it work. Do you remember Pythagorean theorem? Right? You can slice this like that to get the triangle here and then get the height out. So when you take just one, let's take 1/2 of those out to get a right triangle. We know that this is 6. We were told that, right, by this. We know that this is what? This would take you halfway in. So it's half of 17. And what's half of 17? It is 8.5, right? 8.5. So we can find this side here by using Pythagorean theorem. So x is equal to the square root of 8.5 squared plus 6 squared. Remember, when it's the hypotenuse you're missing, just take the square root of the side squared and add it, right? $108.25, and that's 10.40. So now we know, right, that that side is 10.40. And this is also 10.40. So let's continue with our perimeter journey, right? So 25 plus 1040 plus 1040 plus, right, that gets you to here, plus another 25 plus 17 coming down. and that gives you 87.8 meters. That's the perimeter of that shape. So we had to use the Pythagorean theorem. Whenever there's a triangle, right, you might have to use it depending on how much information is given to you. So if I asked you for perimeter here, this would have been a 2 to 3 mark question, 1 mark associated with this, guaranteed. Okay. Area. For area, we're going to call this 1, and this whole thing here is going to be called 2. So you're essentially adding this and this, right, together. This being 1 and this being 2, okay? To give you that shape up there. So this is called composite shapes, right? So I will do it a little differently here. So for the first one, that's just 25 times 17, right? 25 times 17 gets you the area of this rectangle. For the second one, that's a triangle, right? That would be base. What is the base of this triangle? Remember that the base and the height, they meet at a 90, they have to. So we'd say base times the height, which is 6, right? The height is 6 divided by 2. And there you have it. So 25 times 17, that's 425. 17 times 6, 51. It's 476 square meters total area. There could be decimals. Everything is possible. And we're going to do one more before I get you to do some work on your own, okay? All right. Number 4. Which one should I do? Oops. Sideways cone. Ice cream cone. That's 25 inches across. .34 inches that way. We're going to find the perimeter. For the perimeter, it's going to be tricky, right? Because here you have to find the half circle, which is called a semicircle, right? It's a semicircle and a triangle, right? So how would you do the perimeter? Well, you will have to find this, and then we'll have to add this and this together, right? So we'll go this plus this, basically. The circumference of a semicircle, instead of 2 pi r, we divide it by 2, right? We divide the circumference by 2, so it really just ends up being pi times r. Okay? So the circumference of a semi, right, is going to be pi times radius. And what is my radius in this case? The radius is going to be 25 divided by 2, which is 12.5. Okay, so this is my radius. So you put down 12.5 here and then multiply it. Use 3.14159. Okay, if you don't have a pi button, so that's what you get for the semi here. So I'm going to go pink here. And we're going to go yellow highlighter for this part. Okay. For the triangle, we have to use Pythagorean theorem again, right? So you kind of have your height here and they meet at a 90 there. So to find, we're going to call this x. To find x, we're going to do square root of, the height is 34. And this, like, we're only dealing with one of the half triangles, right? Pythagorean theorem only works with a right triangle. So how about we draw this out here? We know this is 34, and this is 12.5. Okay, so 12.5 squared. Square root of 1312.25. Square root that. That's 36.224. That actually rounds to 50. And that's this. So we have to multiply this. This is going to be for each one of them 36.250. So the perimeter is going to be 39.2699 plus 36.2250 plus 36.2250, right? It's because we found one half, we're going to find our way up as well. So the perimeter is going to be one 0.72. That's when you round to 2 decimals at the end. And I'm going to highlight these two in yellow. And this is in pink. Okay, so we found the distance around. So half a circle, right? We have to use the circumference formula, which is 2 pi r. But instead of 2 pi r, right, we divide it by 2, so these really cancel out. If you want to do this in your notes. So a semicircle, we just go pi r. Okay, so that's your perimeter. For area, we just go 1 and 2, right? Area is equal to 1 plus 2. And it's really the half circle plus the triangle. Okay, so the first one, area of semi, how about we just do this? It's pi times radius squared divided by 2. And the second one is the area of triangle would be base, which is 25, times the height, which is 34, divided by 2. That's just because every triangle is always divided by 2. This is 245, 4369. And this is exactly 425. So if you add them all up, that is 670.44 squared inches. That's the total area. All right. So that's that. Now, if you're online, I'm going to give you the paper copy when you come in. But if you're online, I'm going to post this handout right here. It says Composite Shapes number 1. And it has a bunch of composite shapes that you're supposed to find the areas for. Okay? What we're going to do now is don't worry about perimeter just now. We're going to do the areas first, and then we're going to take this one and also find the perimeter of them as well. But the first time around, you just do areas. So if you're online, go to Google Classroom, and I will post it right now so you can see. Let me just load it. There it is. So go online and do this on loose leaf so that when you come in and you get the paper copy, you can staple it onto that, or at least put it in your binder with the loose leaf, right? Because most of this will be, we will do most of our work on loose leaf, okay? So I leave this up here, open this handout, and work on that for the rest of today's class, okay? Sorry, it has a staple, so watch out. I have to rip it from the other page, which I didn't want you to do yet. Don't log off just yet, okay? We're going to do this worksheet right now.